Right, so good luck to all the runners. Let's see what we have here.
Alright, so I believe all our runners, once they get going, will probably be taking the same route initially.
Yeah, I expect all of these 4 players to take the 4 coin and spread route without any run and guns at all. Uh, yeah, I haven't seen any of them. I mean, I haven't seen Lindesis lately playing this category, but I think he has the skill to go just with spread here as well. And here we go. We're starting here, everybody mashing as fast as possible with the old kettle and going directly into the training room.
Yeah, let's see if any of our runners will be able to get the early tutorial exit.
And seems Orange and Luigi did, and also Lindesis and Potato. All of them getting the early tutorial with 1 coin, so they did that properly there. Gonna be heading here to get 3 coins from the Apple guy, and then directly into the shop.
Yes, as far as I know, there are no seeds or anything like that in Cuphead. I'm not entirely sure what actually determines the RNG, but we will definitely be seeing differences.
Yeah. Here there's not like someone said like such thing as seeds. They all have to react. This is how the game works. You usually have some ways to do as much damage as possible, no matter what the boss does. But there's so many times that you need to react and still try to get it as best time as possible. Like the vegetables are not big trouble in that regards, but we're gonna see the next boss fight. It has different patterns, and depending on what the next boss does, I mean, we're gonna talk that as soon as we get to the Frog Brothers. Right now, we see all of the 4 players having no trouble at all with the vegetables here, and ideally, they want to look for like a time of 45 seconds ending this fight. Anything around like 46, 47 is still good, but 45 is the ideal time for this fight.
We'll see how Potato does, getting the first official knockout.
Yeah, and we see Potato getting the 45 right there. And Lindes is also with a 45, Orange with 47, and Luigi with 46. All of them with pretty good times right here. And as I was mentioning a moment ago, they're gonna go ahead fight against the frogs here. And this is the first fight where you need to do different stuff depending on the very first attack here. We see Potato doing, getting the fireflies, so he's gonna need to do a lot of damage to skip the second phase here. And if you get the punches like Lindesis did, Lindesis being the only one with the punches, what you will want to do is enough damage to skip the fireflies on the first phase. So you either skip the fireflies or you either skip the whole second phase at all. So we saw Lindesis skipping the fireflies and Potato not skipping the second phase. So I think Potato might lose a little bit of time here compared to Lindesis. We see Luigi and Orangepuddingz actually skipping the second phase completely.
Yeah, the nice thing about Cuphead is that this isn't actually a glitch. The way the boss health works is that they just have a giant pool of health, and if you are able to do enough damage to trigger or get it below the phase transition, then you can skip entire phases. So definitely not a glitch. You're just being insanely efficient with your shooting.
Yeah, and on the very last phase here, you don't want to get the devils or the bulls, however you call them, because that kind of loses you a bit of time because you need to attack with pea shooter. And we can see, as I mentioned, Potato lost a little bit of time compared to Lindesis getting a 118, and Lindesis just getting a 114. Well, Luigi and Orange got really good fights over there, both of them getting a 110. Race still very close. As we saw that they had to do different strats on that boss, there's many bosses that kind of thing happens overall the whole run. So still very early, still very good race, and we'll see what happens next here. Fighting all of them now, Guppy Le Grande. Guppy Grande being inspired on like the little slimes that you encounter in a lot of RPGs at the very beginning. Being this one of the very first bosses here, this is why he's one of those little like jelly slimes.
Yeah, and it's interesting to note that with the exception of certain bosses, there aren't really like set paths throughout the aisles. Typically, we do what we see all the runners doing: go into Root Pack first, then the frogs, then up to Goopy and around. But you can technically go to Goopy first if you want to. So it does give you, if you're not really concerned with time all that much, it does give you a little bit of variety there. You have a little bit of choice in which ones you want to tackle first.
Yep.
So we are currently seeing all of our runners going to pick up the plane. This will be necessary for a few of the bosses. In fact, it's not even an optional transition. You have fights that are either plane fights or not.
Yep. And I think Hilda is like the very, very, very first, let's say, hard boss, because to do the optimal strats, you are gonna be left in 1 HP towards most of half of the fight, because you do some damage boosts to do maximum damage. And depending on what she gets you, it's also the time that you might get at the end, depending on how many attacks you get between phases and all that. Sweetie Potato only having 1 HP now for the 2 damage boost, and everybody going for that strat except for Orangepuddingz decides to take a little bit more safe strat and getting 2 HP for the very end phase. Ideally, you want to get somewhere between 108 and 110 on this fight, but it's very, very easy to do something a little bit different, and your time at the end is gonna go like super high, between like 113, 115. So I think we might see a little bit of a difference after this fight in the runners, in who actually has a kind of a lead right here.
Yeah, Potato, we see having a very slight lead over Lindesis, just about one phase. Meanwhile, Luigi and Orangepuddingz are still very, very close together, getting that knockout within seconds of each other.
Yep, and we see Lindesis here taking a little bit longer than the rest. Okay, but he's done with Hilda here. And well, Cagney, Cagney is another one of those bosses where RNG can matter a lot. Cagney can do this like bullet rain attack, and when that happens, everything can go really, really out of your way really fast. Stuff can snowball real quick. But we see Potato right here getting some nice patterns so far, while Luigi did get the bullets as well as Orangepuddingz. Taking that unintentional damage for Luigi. And Potato is having a really, really nice Cagney fight right now.
Oh yeah, very much so. Luigi, on the other hand, seems to be having a little bit of trouble getting down to 1 HP already, but certainly not the end of the road for him on this fight.
Yep. Taking the risky strats with 1 HP. But not a big trouble, he's done with the fight. And Orangepuddingz is just right behind Luigi right there. He was done with Cagney almost at the same time as Luigi did. And saving, like you can see, it was 6 seconds of difference between Luigi and Orange. That's how different these fights can be depending on the RNG you get on Cagney. Okay. But it seems that they are all done with Island 1 without any deaths. That's pretty good so far. And we might see a little bit of different routing here for Island 2. Potato deciding to go against Beppy first. Some of these runners might decide to go against Baroness Bonbon first. It's up to personal choice. There's not really big time differences here. And it's also depending maybe if you want to get the bombs or not for the plane fights first or later.
Yeah, you see Luigi and Orange doing different routes here. Luigi opting to go for Baroness, while Orange is doing Beppy first.
Actually, Luigi was the only one going for Baroness first. Interesting.
Very much so.
Again, this is not really a big time difference right here. It's pretty much the same. The big time difference will come whether they decide to take bombs or not, because there's like at least two fights where bombs can be really helpful. One of them is Wally Warbles, which is the big bird, the cuckoo bird, and the other one where it does a really big difference is later on into the game with the big robot, colored robot. But in this very small section, it's not that big of a difference whether they decided to go with Peppy like they did or whether they decided Baroness like Luigi did. Okay, Orange has to be a little bit careful here in this section. Can get a little bit tricky with just 1 HP, but he managed to finish Peppy without dying there. That was pretty clutch. Alright. Both Luigi and Potato entering into the Genie at the same time. We can see Luigi has the bombs already, while Potato decides to go without any bombs because he did Peppy first. Again, this fight is almost the same with or without bombs. There's maybe a very minor time save, probably like 1 second time save for getting the bombs. But overall, the fight is almost the same in Jimmy. Not a big difference whether you have the bombs or not. That we can see Luigi already using.
Yeah, so all of these faces actually do contribute to the boss's health, and so you'll see some of the runners just straight up shooting it. You can also actually just hit it with a single bomb and it'll blow up, but you saw Luigi there doing a little bit of damage with the machine gun first and then blowing it up just to get a slight edge and making that sarcophagus face just a little bit quicker.
Yep. And currently Luigi and Potato having almost the same fight, and Orangepuddingz just right behind them. Just one face apart from Luigi and Potato. As I mentioned at the very beginning, remember Luigi and Potato are one of the very best runners for this category. Luigi currently standing in second, while Potato currently standing in 4th place right now.
Yeah, and Luigi only dropped to second like 2 days ago, so up for quite a while there, he actually did have the record.
Yep.
We did see a new record by SPD Wolf, shaved about 30 seconds off Luigi's time. We got our first sub 32 in this category, so...
Which it's impressive.
Oh yeah, very much so.
It's gonna be a hard one to claim for anybody, even for Luigi. We saw Luigi taking that at 128. That was a really good Jimmy fight. He's heading for Peppy now.
And while everyone else will be heading to Baroness. And so it's kind of where the routes converge again. Potato getting a little bit of bad luck there, getting the Jawbreaker. Pretty easy boss to, or mini boss to kill in Bonbon's phase, but the death animation takes a very long time comparatively, so we don't like to see that.
Yeah, and actually his bad luck keeps going by getting the Muffin second as well. Muffin is not that bad. It's kind of easy to kill if you know what you're doing, but it can be a little bit of a problem when you're getting the jelly beans on the bottom of you as well.
Although the game deciding to make up for it a little bit by getting the gumball machine.
Yep.
It's one of the easier of the potential mini-bosses there.
I think Potato's gonna take a big lead here. Almost done with Baroness.
Lindessa's getting the muffin. And Orange getting the gumball. And Orange is moving on to the last phase. I think Lindessa's has one more. And maybe Candy Corn. Not a bad choice at all. You'll see Potato just starting the Wally Warbles fight here. Luigi's getting ready to go there himself, along with Orangepuddingz.
I didn't see. Did Potato pick up the bombs or he didn't?
I don't think so. I did not see, but I don't think he did.
This is gonna be. I mean, if Lindesi decides to take the bombs, it's like an 8-second difference when fighting the robot with getting the bombs or not getting them. So it's definitely worth learning that fight.
Let's see. Potato moving on to phase 3. Luigi moving on to phase 2. Phase 2 isn't too bad. It's your standard bullet hell. Much easier than many bullet hells.
Definitely, yeah. It can look a little bit tricky, but it's pretty much the same pattern over and over, so...
Yeah, all you really need to do is, I mean, there's just some slight up and down movement.
Yep.
But it's not that hard to dodge. Potato getting the knockout on Wally Warbles as Luigi goes into the last phase. And Luigi getting good movement RNG by having the boss move to the right.
Yeah, that's the ideal scenario, especially if you get there with just 1 HP. You want it to move to the right so that you can still do as much DPS as possible.
Yeah,
but,
and that's... got it.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, you'll see a lot of the runners try and stick to that lower left-hand corner. If you look at, like, Orangepuddingz screen right now, if the boss moves left, you have little to no room to move whatsoever.
Oh, and he's barely done with that. That was pretty close. Still a deadless run so far for all the runners here, and still pretty close heading into the dragon. We see Potato already there.
Yeah, and that is, again, one of the reasons you might want to pick up the bombs is if you don't want to stick to that lower corner, about the only way you can reach the boss is to stay above it and fire bombs down at it.
Yep, definitely the safer way. Especially for like a race scenario.
Yes. Yeah, if you aren't used to staying in that bottom corner, then probably not something you want to be trying for the first time in a race.
Oh, we see Potato taking a dead there. First dead of the race here. Dragon is known for taking a lot of runs, a lot of really good runs. Dragon can definitely be a problem. Even you practice him a lot, he can still be a problematic boss every now and then. Ideally, you want to be with at least 2 HP on the very last phase, which Luigi is already here. But we saw Potato didn't get to the last phase. He lost all the HP on the second phase. And Luigi is also taking a little bit of trouble here, already just down to 1 HP, but he manages to kill Dragon.
Yeah, so let's get some voting going on in the chat here between Luigi and Orangepuddingz, and between Potato and Dessus. Who do you think are gonna win? So both of these races are extremely close still. Anyone can pull off the victory. I still have a lot of game left to get through. So get some support for your favorite runners in the chat. Yeah. Some hype.
Let's go. And yeah, we have pretty much the longest boss fights already left here. So like another death, like the one that Potato already took, could cost way more time in Island 3 than what it costs by dying on the dragon right there. And this honeybee, Ruby Bottoms, it's also one of those fights that can go a little bit wrong sometimes. Most of her attacks kind of track you. But we see some good RNG here by getting the middle B. One thing to notice here is that if Luigi does a lot of damage on this section, Ruby Bottom will skip directly to phase number 3, which is not that good. So sometimes you don't want to do as much damage if she starts with the middle thing first. As we can see, she's already going for the transformation right there. And he's trying to do as much damage as possible. You ideally want to kill her before she heads into that phase, because it's kind of weird, kind of awkward to get more damage done in that phase. We see him already taking 2 hits there. She's going to the saw there. There you go. He was able to kill her, but ideally you want to kill her before going into that phase.
Yeah, and this brings up a good point that with the way the phase transitions work, it will not interrupt an attack pattern. So if, in like Luigi's case, we got a one cycle second phase because he did enough damage, realistically what we wanted to see there is just to hold back on the damage a little bit until she started her second round of attacks in phase 2 and then unload on her. Because crossing that transition threshold at that point would not make her immediately go into phase 3. She would have to finish out her attack first and then go into the transition.
Yep. Ideally making the fight a little bit easier if you hold up just a little bit. And maybe even if you hold up, it might be still faster at the end of the day. Oh, Lindes is taking an unfortunate death right there.
Yeah, but on the other hand, Orange did get a very nice phase 3 kill there. He was able to take care of her before she really started getting dangerous.
Yep.
With that death, it does put Lindesis back by a whole boss. So it's starting to see Potato pull ahead ever so slightly. But again, there's still some of the longest, hardest bosses left to go, and sadly stage play. And anything can happen. We have seen runs and races decided by death real late in the game.
Yeah, like in King Dice or something like that.
Yeah, so Lindesis is definitely not out of this yet.
So this is a little bit something that I wanted to notice here. So we saw Luigi getting a 53 because of the bombs. We'll see what Potato gets. He has been getting a really good fight so far, but he didn't have the bombs. So we might see a big time difference here in the robot. And this is where getting the bombs really pays off most than any other fight so far. Let's see what's the time here in Potato. He got a 106, so as you can see, it was like a 13-second difference, and they both got like pretty decent fights there. So bombs, since they can damage 2 of the, let's say, body parts of the robot at the very first section here, this is why the bombs are very useful to actually get. Okay. You see Luigi here.
Yeah, Luigi is moving on to phase 3 of Sally and Potatoes are starting to fight. Not a lot to talk about with this fight. I think probably considered the easiest boss of Aisle 3. There's not a lot going on here. Pretty relatively easy attacks to dodge. Nothing too dangerous, although like with anything in this game, if you let your guard down, it will wreck you.
Yeah. Or since you might need to do a damage boost here and there on this boss to get the most optimal time, like just getting 1 damage without noticing it might make you lose a couple seconds here.
SPD is saying that it's hard to tell, but Luigi might actually be on world record pace here. That's how great of a run he's having. We'll have to see what his loadless time is afterwards, but
I'm sure he's keeping record of those on his feed.
Oh, I'm sure.
We'll see. But yeah, Luigi is definitely having an amazing run right here. So he's already on Werner Grammar right here, aka Tom and Jerry. We'll see what strat he uses here on the second phase. He decides to go on the very front of the boss, and he's gonna be doing an EX attack to gain a little bit more of air momentum and just avoid the fire that is coming out of from Werner Werman.
Yeah, it's saving a lot of time over having to stop shooting to jump up and down between platforms the entire time, trying to manually dodge those attacks.
Ooh, he almost messed up that parry. Alright.
One thing I don't think we pointed out yet is you saw Luigi jumping into the boss's hitbox there. What that allows him to do with the spread EX is to use it to its fullest advantage. The way the spread EX works is that it shoots bullets off in 8 directions, and each one does damage. So if you can hit the boss with all 8, you're maximizing that potential. So that's why you see Luigi jumping into the hitbox stage, see Potato doing it now. We've seen that quite a few times throughout the run. A lot of times on these stages, that's why runners will opt to take damage boosts just to get within that boss's hitbox for a few seconds and get a couple shots off.
Yeah, and the damage difference between getting all of those shots hitting or not can be quite big. It can be like maybe 1 second each time you don't land that properly. So we can even see in some bosses they actually even decide to take damage to be able to land all of the hits from that radial EX attack. Luigi's getting a little bit of trouble here at Greeny Bird. Not the best RNG so far right now.
Yeah, still having a pretty nice fight overall. RNG aside, getting ready to presumably finish it off. Can't imagine that.
Ooh. Oh, okay. There he goes.
I was worried that damage was a little early there, and I was very concerned that invincibility period would run out before he got the knockout. But
yeah, it was a little bit of an awkward situation. And Potato having an awkward situation here at Bird himself as well. Getting the catfish or the dogfish with just 1 HP is not what you want to see. He has to be careful here on the very end phase.
Very much so. One thing Luigi did in this fight that I don't think a lot of people realize is that you can actually parry the laser.
Yeah, I found that out like probably like a couple weeks ago, and I've been playing this game since like day 1, but I never like paid too much attention to that that it was actually a pink beam.
Yeah, it's like just like with a lot of things. You get focused on the fight itself, and there are little details like that you should see, but you don't. And then you look at it later, it's like, how did I ever not see this?
Yeah, that's probably one of the like super most pink things in the whole game. It's like, I don't know, like a very, very shining pink. So I don't know how a lot of us don't notice that.
So one of the things I'd like to point out about the Briny Beard fight, and with at least Calamaria's first stage, is that both of them tend to be very busy fights. There's a lot going on at the screen all at once, and all of it demands your attention. You have, in Briny Beard, you have him shooting you from the top of the boat, you have the barrel that tries to drop on you, you have him calling in some animals, and you have the boat that shoots cannonballs with you. And at least up to 3 of these things can happen at the same time. And if you're not paying attention to everything, chances are you're going to get hit by one of them. And same thing with the opening phase to Calamaria's fight. She has a set number of attacks she can do, and a lot of times these attacks will overlap. Saw Luigi there getting a pretty bad combination of the pufferfish and the ghost. That makes it rather difficult to navigate depending on the pufferfish pattern. But
yeah, and also for Calamaria, also to get the best fight, you kind of want to line up your 5 EX attacks to kind of skip the first section where she turns into like a Medusa. And that can be a little bit hard to accomplish as well because of what you said, because of depending on how the attack patterns land into you. Like we can see in Orangepuddingz right now, when you get the pufferfish, you get a lot of pink pufferfish, and you want to parry as much of them as you can.
See Luigi moving on to phase 3 of the Ghost Train. This is one of my favorite fights in the game. Each of the phases is pretty unique in how it operates. Not being particularly difficult individually, but there are a lot of things that can mess you up in this fight if you're not careful, and we do see a lot of runs lost in this fight as well.
Yeah, and I believe everybody uses a little bit of a different technique, especially to tackle the phase with two phases. We saw Luigi using a lot of pea shooter right there, while maybe other people decide to use a lot of spread shot in one phase and then the other phase instead of staying like in the middle. But so far, like Luigi, it's having a pretty good run, like Wolf was saying a moment ago. Pretty good run already going into King Dice before the 30-minute mark here. It's pretty good run right now.
You see Potato either taking a death or opting to restart. I wasn't sure which, but he was back at the beginning of the fight now. I would imagine being that far and he probably took a death.
I think he took a dead as well. I don't think Potato would restart a fight because he was a little bit already advanced into the fight. This boss can be very tricky, and sometimes the hitboxes stay there longer, and they can trick you. You might be thinking that you're safe already jumping, and you might get a hit. So as I was mentioning, Potato taking a different route here for the two faces with the spread shot right in their face.
Let's see. So yeah, Luigi's on the King Dice. The nice thing about this fight, maybe not nice thing, but one of the cool things about this fight is it's a lot like Gunstar Heroes, where you move along a board to determine which boss you get. I don't know how many people realize this, but the boss you get for each number is actually set. So if you land on 2 like Luigi did, you will always get the poker chips. For this route, we're going to want to see the runners either get 2 or 3 in the first set, 4 or 5 in the second, and then 8 to finish it off. I think most runners will opt to go for 2 and 4. It is a little bit faster, but some do prefer the 3-5 route.
Yeah, and 3-5 is not that slower compared to 2 and 4. At the end of the day, sometimes it depends on where the runner thinks it's more consistent. Or maybe if they want to be more safe, depending on where the hearts land. You can see that there's little hearts on top of each space over there. And whenever you land on one of those spots, you're gonna take an extra heart, which it can come a little bit handy at the very end of the fight.
Luigi with that jump, I guess recognizing that he was going to be a little bit late on that parry, opting not to go for it and land just to reset his chance there. I believe that would have put him at the monkey if he had hit it at that point, which is significantly slower in this category versus doing the 8-ball.
Yeah, monkey's the faster if you're doing glitches, and it's probably the slower fight of all if you're without glitches.
Yeah, I think one of the most fun by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, very slow. The only trap Luigi has yet to face is the start over spot. Because King Dice is evil, there is a chance that you can land on that and have to start the board from the beginning. Luckily, if this were to happen, the spaces you've already cleared remain clear. But what this means is that if you don't do the exact same pattern as you did the first time, then you wind up facing even more bosses.
Yep. We see him getting rid of King Dice without much trouble right there. And 209, that's a pretty good fight right there. And it's only the devil between Luigi and this race right here. We have seen the devil killing some people at the very end. I mean, he's still the last boss, so you still have to respect the devil a little bit. But it's definitely not the harder boss in the whole game.
Yeah, we also have to be careful there not to accidentally turn the contracts in, because that would prevent you from fighting the devil, and in this category that's not allowed. So at that point you have to reload your file and make that choice again. It does default to not turning it in, so the chances of you accidentally hitting it are pretty low, but it has happened.
Yep. I think it happens more in the categories where you don't actually fight the devil.
Yeah, and especially, well, yeah, we get a lot of that. It's a lot easier to accidentally fight the devil than accidentally not fight him.
Yeah.
And particularly for the runners who stick with any percent in which we don't fight the devil, it's a very easy habit to get into.
Luigi heading here into the very last phases of the devil right now. He already got 2 HP left. Might be a little bit dangerous if he gets another one hit right here at the very last phase. But he seems to be having a good fight right now. Let's see if he can finish this run right here. Oh, and there he goes. Knockout.
Yeah, knockout with an official race time of 35:19. The more interesting thing here, though, is his loadless time is a 32:24, which, while not a record, is a PB for Luigi.
Wow.
Look, did I not? So the only thing I really wanted out of this tournament is a world record to happen during one of the races. And had SBD not come in and taken that 2 days ago, this would have been it.
I know.
Like, I am very upset right now.
Blame SBD. SBD not even participating here in the tournament. Would have been good to have SBD on the tournament. So we're gonna have Luigi here. I think he says he can be here for 5 minutes. Let's see if Luigi can join the call a little bit here.
Well, I don't know if he meant give him 5 minutes and then he can talk, or he has 5 minutes to talk.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. So we'll see, guys. While we're still watching Potato here, almost finishing the race as well, also with a pretty good time so far. I think it was like 2 deaths, but even with the 2 deaths, he's still having a really, really good race right here for Potato. Let's see if he can finish the fight here in the devil. He still has 3 HP, so I don't think he's gonna have much trouble by finishing the fight here.
No. I mean, he's in a very good position. 3 health, getting ready to go into the last phase.
Okay, and there's the last phase right there. He just has to be careful, land a couple hits there, and there we have a knockout with an official SRL time of 37:16 for Potato. And well, we have already 2 winners here. Orangepuddingz put up a good fight against Luigi. Don't get me wrong; it's like one of the hardest opponents that you can match against in this tournament. So shoutouts to Orangepuddingz for already being at the devil as well here, with a really, really good race as well. And even Lindesis, he's only 1 boss away from everybody else. He's already going to fight the devil as well. So it was overall a pretty good race. Most of the runners here can probably potentially finish before the 40-minute mark, which, taking into consideration that this is counting the load times, it's a very, very good time for all of them.
Yeah, nice. For Potato, actually beat his race PB by 3 seconds. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Oh, right, yeah. Nice.
Okay, it looks like Luigi can talk now. Probably can't stay too long, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull him in.
Okay.
If he joins one of the race rooms. Oh, there he is. It'll be interesting to get his opinion on this race. Hello, Luigi.
Hello guys, how you doing?
Doing good. Congratulations on your PB.
Yeah, just by 2 seconds, but the whole split I was on great pace, everything goes wrong. I mean, not wrong, the run was amazing, but not for the world record attempts, but in the end I saved so much time and it allows me to get a 2-second save. But man, those splits gonna be hell to compare against, that's for sure.
Hey, like someone was saying, you would have got world record if it wasn't by Wolf a few days ago getting the world record.
Yeah,
So
I mean
definitely
that
an
could be to the world record by 2 seconds, but yeah, Wolf does amazing job saving off like half minute from the world record run, which is amazing, and it's gonna be hard to take it back, but for sure I'm gonna try. I think it's possible, that's for sure. Just I need to practice some bosses, some strategies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything anywhere in particular that you can save a little time on, or is it just kind of generally throughout the entire run?
Right now, do you want me to say about new splits from PB or the old ones? Because it depends from the runs, but for sure I can save time on car robots because I started to use bomb strategy, and as you can saw on my run, I got amazing time. I believe it was 54, which is, wow, that time on race is amazing, and for BB I would like to get it for sure. So robot is one of those bosses where I can save time. Other ones for me is Fair and Fairman because this fight, maybe it's not that hard casually, but for some reason in speedrun for this category it's hell. It's just hard to dodge and survive this fight and do good damage in the same time. Other fights, I don't know, maybe Captain Brinnebeard, I think King Dice if I'm gonna learn the new dice strats. And where I can save time too, I guess other fights where basically I just can play them a little bit better. That's all.
So this was a match. I mean, these two matches were on the same part of the bracket. So that means that you're gonna be fighting against Potato on your next match. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Potato is for sure a great player. He also does the tutorial for this category, so he for sure know how to play it. And also he's an amazing runner, and he beats my time on other categories a bunch of times. He was playing simple first, but he get used to the regular, and right now he's one of the best players. So this is gonna be an interesting match, that's for sure. I cannot wait for that one.
Yeah, a little bit of race notes here. I don't know if we mentioned, but Orangepuddingz did finish with the time of 38:34, improving their race record by 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And then while we were talking to Luigi here, Lindis finished as well with a race time of 39:50.
Yeah, everyone entered the race pretty fast. This is a nice day. Everyone got some nice times, so yeah.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, to have four racers come in and all of them finished under 40 real time is just great. Right,
Yeah,
I'm going
definitely.
to bring Potato in. I think he's waiting to join us.
He's already waiting here.
Yeah, it has been quite a while. So, hello, Potato.
Yeah. No problem.
GG.
Indeed. Ugh. Was it noticeable while I was running that I only woke up like 2 minutes before the race started?
I don't think so. I mean, you came in and got a 37:19 real time, like, or 37:16 race time. Like, no, I don't think at all. I mean, for waking up only 2 minutes beforehand, that's really impressive, I got to say.
Ugh. I'm somewhat disappointed with that run, though. A lot of, like, not counting the RNG that just completely flustered me a lot of the time, especially with bosses like Briny Beard. There was just some simple mistakes that I kept making.
Well,
understandable, but
you still won the match, and we just asked Luigi that he's heading against you now. I want to know now your thoughts about heading against Luigi on their next race.
I mean, like with any race, it all just comes down to if both people are on form that day and whoever makes the first mistake. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I'll be sure to wake up at least 5 minutes before that match.
Oh, Luigi deserves at least 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's not gonna be easy if the Potato not gonna be sleepy. So yeah, that's gonna be a challenge for sure.
Yeah. Overall, I'd say I still did pretty well.
So you got PB, Potato, right?
Yeah, but it was by 3 seconds, and that
I
was
got
another.
PB too, but only by 2 seconds. Just because I didn't get a spider on every fight, allowed me to save 10 seconds from that one.
Yeah, I got spider and immediately just went, okay, whoever's in front of me just won. That spider.
Yeah.
'Cause at least with the fire pinwheel, you can do damage. With the spider, it's like, what do? You sit there and you occasionally shoot at it.
Yeah, I just realized also on spider attack, you cannot damage him before he lands on the ground. So yeah, that's another problem.
You can only do it on the first one. You can do it a bit there. Every other one, it's invincible till it touches the ground.
Yep.
But yeah,
Potato, do you know your loadless time?
loadless time? No, I do not. All I know is that it's just nothing near my actual PB for this.
Also, Salmon, don't you want to ask us a simple question which you want to ask everyone?
Yeah, the question that I started, man, you're making my question look bad.
Yeah. So, since we got in here, one of the nice things about Cuphead is certainly the art style, but maybe not as appreciated aspect of it is the soundtrack, especially in speedruns, because we don't get to hear a lot of it until we do the
I
boss.
swear to God, if you're changing my question.
If you want to hear the whole soundtrack during speedruns, just play One Gun Chaser, and you're gonna be happy with the soundtrack.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite boss track?
For me, I have the problem because I like really two soundtracks from the boss fights. One is Baroness for Bonbon. I don't know why, maybe I hate this boss, but the soundtrack is amazing, so that's one good thing about her. And second one is, of course, The Devil. It's just great ending soundtrack, that's for sure. And I like that one.
I'm probably gonna have to pick between either the tutorial or the shop, two of the biggest run killers for this category when you think about it.
Yeah, I don't actually think I recall the music for either of those.
I'm sure I recall the one for the training, but not sure I recall the one for the shop. You just are there for like 5 seconds and that's it.
Yeah. But yeah, if I had to genuinely pick though, my favorite would probably be probably Werner. I like his music for his fight.
Huh. That's an answer I didn't expect.
You know which song I think it's amazing and we don't get to hear a lot of it either? It's the one for King Dice, but in between transitions between islands. I think that song is amazingly good. And
Yeah, it's good, but again, you're gonna hear it for like, I don't know, 5 seconds. You cannot even hear the
Yeah.
words during speedrun.
yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe if Cuphead gets into GDQ, someone might be able to convince me to sing it.
That would be good. That would be good.
Special donation, someone gonna sing the song that no one can hear during speedruns.
But yeah. So, is there anything else that either of you want to talk about while you're here? Or?
I don't think there's too much to say. The runs one's amazing. Everyone can see them. Everyone can see the times.
Yeah, it was still a really close race considering that people made mistakes and stuff like that.
Yeah, because Cuphead racing is really punishing because, as commentators say, almost every time, each boss takes a long time, and if you're gonna die in like half of the fight, you need to do it once again. There's no checkpoints or anything like that, so you can lose like 2 minutes just because of one death. So that's really punishing, and one death can change anything during the race.
Yeah, especially when you can just fall behind normally just because of RNG of an attack. Like how there was a couple boss fights where it's like, oh yeah, Briny Beard, most people can get it in like below a minute. I got 1 minute and 10. So I just looked at that time and I just went, oh yeah, no, whoever's in front of me, just like 10
I believe I
bosses
got 1 minute 3 seconds today. RNG wasn't the worst, but I need to play it safe because I hit stupidly.
Yeah, that's something I eventually just stopped doing, is I stopped having to play safe and I just started having to go for more risky strats. Because I knew eventually I was just falling behind and I just had to catch up. Or at least that's what I thought, because I couldn't see any of the stream.
Yeah, that's also another thing. You don't know if you can allow yourself to play a little bit safe because you're ahead, or do you need to speed it up because your opponent is ahead. You don't see that.
Right.
It definitely comes down to the last minute judgment call on that. But yeah, I'd still like to say congrats to all the runners in this race.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, very much so. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, congratulations to everybody. Nice race to everybody for finishing below the 40-minute mark.
Is this the first race that it's happened before, or is there has there been another one? Can't remember.
I don't remember if that happened during the 4 people race.
No,
Yeah,
during
I
the
think
4
during
people
the
race, that one went
doubles,
over.
but we've definitely had single matches where both have gotten under 40. But
Well, to have 4 people do it, that's just makes
yeah,
it special.
that's insane. I mean, Cuphead, by any stretch of the imagination, isn't an easy game, and just to have you guys come in here and just demolish it is truly a sight. So yeah, so I guess with that, we'll go ahead and start wrapping this up. Upcoming with the tournament, we have 2 races scheduled for tomorrow. We have the Mexican runner versus Weliso at 11 a.m. and Mr. Dino versus Calava at 12:30 p.m. Both of these matches are the only ones remaining in this round of the main bracket. So, we're getting close there. Meanwhile, we have a couple matches on Sunday at 4 p.m. We have Larry Bunch, Justin. We have Kidiru versus 2C Plus. And so both of those are down in the secondary bracket, but I'm sure they'll be pretty good as well.
Yep, I agree.
So,
Because I'm gonna be in one of them as well.
Just gotta hype up your own match.
Yeah.
yeah, and you are, just going off the seed, you are the underdog in this match, so we'll
I
see
am
how
indeed
things
the
go.
underdog. So we'll see what happens.
C don't mean much. You just gotta get in there.
Yeah, I forget who it was, but one of the seeds is only separated by like 2 seconds or something like that, so it doesn't mean a lot. Certainly the practice and the consistency of the run.
Plus, you could be more on form on one day and less on form on the
Oh
other.
yeah,
Yep.
there's a lot to consider when you're running, but all right. Well, I think with that, I think we're good to go. Thank you guys for running this race. Thanks for joining us in the post-game commentary.
No problem.
No problem.
All right.
And thanks to Dino for doing commentary with me.
Well, thank you, Salmon, and thank you, everybody. I hope you guys have a good day, night, evening, whatever you are. Thank you for joining. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good night,
guys.
everyone, or have a good day, whatever.